All right, next up we have Sarahi Monterrey. Sarahi Monterrey is a high school English learner teacher, and she's Wisconsin's 2019 Teacher of the Year. Let's give it up for Sarahi.
All right, buenos dias. All right. All right. So, it was May 14th, 1980 in Ahuachapan, El Salvador. It was around 10 o'clock and my mom began to feel contractions. See, she knew she was about to go into labor. And there she was with my father, but as we just learned from this lesson, right? 1980 was the official beginning of a 12-year-long civil war in El Salvador. So my father, he wanted to be there, right, when I was born, yet he couldn't because it was after curfew. And it was way too dangerous for him to be out in the street after curfew. So my grandmother told my mom, she said, you know what, I'm going to walk with you to the hospital. She grabbed a white handkerchief as a sign of peace and walked with her down just in case soldiers or they confronted anyone that she would know, we're getting to the hospital, it's a sign of peace. And that's when I was born. Fast forward, a year later, we did find out that because of my grandmother had applied for residency for my mom. And we found out we got granted residency. So it was my two older brothers and myself that we were going to be able to come to the United States. However, because of immigration, the way it works, right, the policies, my father was not able to apply at that time for residency. So he had to make the hard decision of starting his journey to come to the United States, crossing the border undocumented. So he left a month before we left and met us in New York. So I share that with you because some people may say, your dad did something illegal. He came here, right, crossed the border. But remember, us humans, we're the ones creating these borders, right? So he came here because he knew he wanted a better life for his family, better opportunities for his children. And it is because of that sacrifice that my family did is why I am able to stand here in front of you today as Wisconsin's 2019 Teacher of the Year. Thank you. And I share that with you because it's so important for us to understand, like the lesson that we just got from Paul, that all these factors, right, that played in the fact that people were trying to flee because people were fearing for their lives. And yet, the consequences from that war are still, that impact is still being felt today in El Salvador. So I do have some two teacher friends that are going to help me out here. So we have Allison and Kelly. So when we talk about push factors today, right? So one of the factors we know we have is violence. We have organized crime. We have extortion. We have trade agreements that have really benefited the wealthy and not the people of El Salvador. So here we are today facing each other, right? And this is where our country needs to make a decision. Are we going to act in inhumane ways and continue to detain people and separate families? Or are we going to do what we know is right? And we know that we can take that humanitarian action and do what's right and treat people as human beings, right? So that's what we need to be doing. Thank you very much. You know, I hear of stories of like Jose del Mar Fuentes, who had his 1-year-old son Mateo taken from him on November 16th when he was entering the port in San Isidro. He was fleeing gang violence and extortion. In an interview, he said, "God willing, we will be together again. I feel helpless not being with them, not being able to hug them, kiss them, play with them." When Mateo was taken away from him, there were 3 other Central American men that witnessed this. They were there. There were one man from El Salvador, one man from Honduras and 2 from El Salvador. And they witnessed it. And they said their own children were also taken to a different detention center. There's the story of Eric Matute Castro, an asylum seeker from Honduras, whose 3-year-old son was taken from him. Castro said he said, "I thought immigration was going to help me, yet they didn't help me. What they did was take away the only thing I still had, my son." This summer, I had a situation where I was at the pool, I was swimming with my daughters. So I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. And we were about to leave. She was playing and she was going down this little froggy slide that she enjoys. It's shallow. I knew, like, she's fine there. And I had told her, I said, I'm going to go get the towel so that we can get ready to go. And I don't think she didn't hear me say it. I thought she had heard me, but she didn't. So I walked away from her and I went to go get the towel. When I came, like I saw her, she had a moment of panic where she didn't see me. And right away in that instant, she started crying. And when at that moment, I thought to myself, wow, this was in June when in the news we heard of everything happening, right? With children being separated. And I thought to myself, that was one split moment that my daughter was separated from me. I put myself, I can't imagine what these children are feeling who were separated from their families, who are still in these detention centers. So as a country, it is time that we really need to start looking at what is it that we are doing. The fact that our country has added psychological trauma to the violence that these families are trying to flee from their home countries is simply unacceptable. If we truly care about life of human beings, this nation needs to demonstrate that and stop using lives of children as pawns. My wish is that children in these detention centers can be freed so that they can get an education and realize their full potential. That they are able to use their skills and talents to make this world a better place. That they can have the opportunities that I had. Thank you.